Welcome back everyone to Strategy Games Central, and we have some really big updates for you today, including updates for the Age of Empires franchise games, as well as a whole host of new RTS game announcements and updates. We'll start off with one of the most beloved RTS games of all time, Age of Empires 2. If you are an Age of Empires 2 fan, you'll be excited to hear that the Chronicles saga is returning with a brand new DLC on the 14th of October. And trust me, this one is massive, and this time it's all about Alexander the Great. So what's actually in it? Well, this is another massive single player campaign with 18 scenarios. 16 of these will follow Alexander's Macedonians through all the famous battles, from Thrace and Greece, through Persia, and into India. On top of that, you'll also get 2 missions where you play as the Thracians and the Puru, giving you their side of the story. The scope is huge. You start as Alexander, fighting alongside his father, and then you're marching across half the known world. Expect iconic battles like the Granicus, Gargamella, and the Hyperwar, all getting the Chronicles treatment. Presentation-wise, it looks like it's going to be awesome. They are using animated mosaic cutscenes, kind of a blend of classical art and modern animation. And of course, there's the Age of Empires 2 famous narration, voice acting, and 13 brand new music tracks just for this campaign. If you've played Battle for Greece, the previous DLC for Age of Empires 2, you'll know that the developers love experimenting with scenario designs. Alexander's campaign is doing the same, with some really unique missions. You'll build a giant causeway across the sea to storm Tyre, run a city builder style scenario when founding Alexandria Escate, and even take control of a flagship during a naval expedition down the Persian Gulf. Each mission feels different, which is honestly what makes this series stand out. Now let's talk about the new civilizations, because there are 3 of them, but keep in mind, these are single player only and will not appear in ranked multiplayer. First, the Macedonians. They are exactly what you'd expect: ultra long pikes, heavy companion cavalry, and fortified outposts to keep the pressure on. Then there's the Thracians. Historically, they weren't a huge empire, but they were one of Alexander's first big tests. Gameplay-wise, they are all about raiding with Rhomphaia warriors and skirmishers, and they've got unique techs that literally generate gold from combat. And finally, the Puru, representing ancient India. These guys bring the elephants, and lots of them. They also get devastating bamboo longbow archers, plus their own brand new architecture set, so they will stand out visually. Something that I really like is the progression system. As you play through the campaign, you'll unlock 16 bonus units and 4 extra technologies that you can bring into later scenarios. So your army actually grows alongside Alexander's empire. It's a cool mechanic that adds replayability and gives you more control over your campaign run. And one other thing that I know a lot of people will be very happy about: difficulty has been completely reworked. There are now 5 difficulty levels, each tested with a wide range of players. Time pressure has also been toned down, so you can actually sit back and play at your own pace without constant timers stressing you out. Basically, if you just want to build your base and play classic Age of Empires, you can. But if you want a tough challenge, there's still that too. From what we've seen in the trailer and screenshots, there are lots of nice touches as well. Thebians with unique shields, period-appropriate siege weapons, elephants that look like they have lancers, and even camels showing up again for more cavalry variety. You'll definitely notice the extra effort put into historical detail in this DLC. We've seen many DLCs for Age of Empires 2, and many of them have been very good over the years. In fact, many of you have probably been playing for many years, and I do love a good nostalgia story. So let me know of your earliest memories of playing Age of Empires 2. Was it with your father, your friends at a time when, well, we had dial-up internet connections? Or are you in fact someone a lot younger, brought into the game a little bit more recently? I'd love to read about your stories with Age of Empires 2. So, big picture. The Chronicles of Alexander the Great is shaping up to be a massive single-player expansion. You're getting 18 new scenarios, 3 new civilizations, unique mechanics, unlockable units and technologies, and a full cinematic campaign dedicated to Alexander the Great. If you liked the previous Age of Empires 2 DLC, Battle for Greece, this looks like the perfect follow-up. And if you're into single-player Age of Empires content, this is probably going to be a must-play. Now, a game previously discussed on the channel that has had high hopes for many RTS fans is Empire Eternal. It's a game that will cover various different time periods of history, with a huge scope of units, from big wooden boats to bomber aircraft, spanning across different eras. The game will include some of the basic and common RTS mechanics, such as base building, resource management, and thrilling tactical combat. But its uniqueness lies in covering 20 eras of human civilization, and this update for you today is all to do with the Bronze Age in the game, bringing new units, construction systems, and strategic depth that will completely transform your real-time strategy experience. First up, armies now march into battle with bronze armor, swords, spears, horses, and even war chariots. Movement and formations feel more alive than ever, with faster charges, smoother visuals, and tactical depth that rewards smart positioning. Next, with the modular construction system, you can lace buildings freely with instant feedback, watch your citizens build in real time, and design custom walls complete with gates, stairs, and defensive towers. Yes, lots of towers. Fortifications are smarter as well. Walls and towers snap perfectly to the terrain, creating seamless defenses. Construction feels alive, with every segment built by your people right before your eyes. The new naval transport system changes the way you expand across the map. Just send your troops to port, and ships will set sail, preserving formations as they land on enemy shores. Strategy doesn't stop at the water's edge anymore. And of course, no empire thrives without resources. Wood, stone, gold, food, and farms are now fully functional. Workers gather intelligently, farms rotate through cycles, and animations tie everything together seamlessly. So while today's update has focused a lot on the Bronze Age for Empire Eternal, we must not forget that this game is aiming to span 20 eras of human civilization. It's an ambitious RTS that will let players lead a civilization from its early origins all the way into future epochs. With 20 distinct ages covering the arc of human history, from ancient civilizations to the modern nations, it's a scale of game that has rarely been seen before, and it certainly can't be a small feat for the developers to create. And the scale of the game is one of the reasons why I am super excited to hopefully in the future play Empire Eternal. It's such a big feat that I don't think there are that many games out there in the same style, and because of that, for me, I am super excited, mostly because I'm imagining how awesome it would be to start an empire from the basic bare bones, watch as stone tools evolve into devastating weapons made of bronze, steel, and then futuristic technologies beyond the wildest imagination of the villagers that you started the journey with. Empire Eternal is steadily shaping into a strategy experience worthy of the classics. Ambitious and tactical, with hopefully more updates on development coming to you soon, but if not soon enough, there is an hour-long video covering Empire Eternal's Bronze Age gameplay on YouTube. I'll leave a link to it in the video description. Make sure to let me know your thoughts so far on Empire Eternal in the comments section below. Now, another game that I have personally been keeping a very close eye on is Zerospace, and today we're going to be checking out the brand new update for it. There's a lot to cover, with a new faction, new missions, visual updates, and even a full development roadmap. If you're just finding out about Zerospace, it's a new sci-fi strategy game that's basically part Mass Effect, part awesome RTS, and all about commanding your own galactic army. In the campaign, you play as the commander of a flagship, exploring the Orion sector, picking sides in political chaos, and taking over planetary systems for the Protectorate. There's a full story mode, which is planned to have tons of dialogue, crew relationships, and choices that actually change the outcome, just like in classic RPGs. The sheer variety that Zerospace is offering in its multiplayer game mode is another feature that's starting to really make people's head turn. The game features 4 main factions, as well as a whole host of mercenaries, 14 heroes, and 80 unique units to mix and match. Because of this, every match will feel different, and there's a lot of room for creative counterplay. If single player is not enough, there's a persistent galaxy war mode, a massive multiplayer map where you team up with other players to conquer planets, defend your territory, and fight for galactic dominance in this cooperative game mode. The game has been in development for some time now, and so it's quite nice to have a new update for you all. Starting off with some awesome new visuals, Zerospace just dropped new cinematic models, including the terrifying Endari Devourer, plus upgraded versions of story characters, Sherman and Tanner. These are just some of the examples of the major visual updates making Zerospace sharper and way more lifelike in cutscenes. In-game visuals also got a big upgrade. Cooperative missions now include new objectives like the Grell Nest and Grell Lair, and for extra immersion, there are now civilian NPCs during missions, helping the world to feel that much more alive. Next up is one of my favourite updates. Team colors have been reworked. Units now blend better with the environment while still being easy to tell apart. And for the competitive players who prefer more contrast, there's going to be a high visibility option too. There's also new missions coming your way, the Prometheus Colony campaign mission and cooperative mission called Retreat, where you'll need to evacuate Grell eggs before the planet goes kaboom. It sounds chaotic, but in the best possible way. Now let's talk base building. The team is redesigning operating towers and introducing Hexite pits, a cleaner and more natural way to expand and start mining resources. Basically, the aim is to make it a lot clearer where to build your bases, and it just looks way cooler with the visual updates. This particular change is also going to be able to help with game balance and opens up more design options for the asymmetrical factions down the line. For example, you could have different extractor counts for different factions, giving them a different rate of mining speed of resources. Now, with all these updates all well and good, here is the big one. There's a new faction, the Zol. We've been given a first look at the Scyther, which is their basic ground unit, and it's a melee fighter that grows a shield to block the first hit. Its arms then morph into blades when it attacks. Creepy, and well, sounds pretty awesome. Speaking of big things, Zerospace is also going global. Localization support is coming soon, with translations planned for Spanish, Korean, German, Italian, Russian, French, Japanese, and Brazilian Portuguese, as well as, actually, potentially more to come later. Now, as I'm sure many of you will, you may have questions for the developers, and so a Ask Me Anything session held by the CEO is going to be very exciting and is going to be held on the 24th of October, 1 PM PST, on the Real-Time Strategy Reddit. So yeah, it's a perfect chance to ask about gameplay, factions, or well, basically anything that you are curious about. Now for a big topic as well, let's talk roadmap. The developers have shared a full snapshot of what's coming next, comparing where we were during the last playtest to the way things are shaping up to be coming in early 2026. The game's really starting to look like a full real-time strategy experience. So first up, let's talk about Galactic War, the cooperative game mode. In the last playtest, we had 3 commanders, 5 missions, and the first version of meta progression. But coming in early 2026, that's all getting a major upgrade. We are getting 4 commanders, 9 missions in total, and new galactic map special events, plus a brand new stronghold mission and the fully featured meta progression system. So yeah, cooperative is basically leveling up into a much bigger experience. Next is the campaign mode. The last test gave us a small taste. 5 missions, multiple difficulties, and the first version of the ship layer. But early next year, we're getting 14 missions, nearly triple the amount, along with meta progression, faction reputation, and character relationships that actually affect gameplay. There will even be companions joining the story, which should add a lot more depth and replayability. Alright, I have not forgotten the sweaty folk amongst you. Let's move over to the versus mode. Previously, we had 3 main factions, 5 mercenary factions, 11 heroes, and a mix of ranked and unranked matchmaking with leaderboards and replays. I mean, that is a pretty good base to start from, but now things are getting serious. 2026 brings the 4th main faction, the Zol, plus the 6th mercenary faction, the Endari. There's going to be 14 heroes in total, and for competitive players, new matchmaking leagues, dedicated 2v2 and free-for-all game modes, a lobby drafting system, and even a spectator mode. I certainly can't wait for the spectator mode, as I have been casting a lot of games for Zerospace during its development on a separate dedicated channel. If you're interested in Zerospace casts, by the way, I'll leave a link to my dedicated Zerospace YouTube channel in this video's description. Oh, and of course, not to forget, they are rolling out dedicated servers as well, which is huge for multiplayer stability. Now finally, we have the special features section. Last time, it was all about functionality, things like the unit test map, survival mode, and customizable hotkeys. Now they are moving into polish and presentation, where 2026 will bring localization for multiple languages, streaming platform integration, player profiles, and over 40 voice lines per unit for more personality. They are also adding an in-client creator spotlight, as well as doing a big polish pass across user interfaces, lighting, effects, and animations. So yeah, it's starting to look and sound like a very polished, and dare I say it, a finished game. So overall, the difference between the last playtest and what we can expect in 2026 is absolutely massive. We are going from a solid test build to what looks like a feature-rich version of Zerospace. More missions, more factions, more polish, and all the systems that you'd expect from a full RTS launch are looking to finally come online. The developers also teased a massive technical update coming soon, improvements to pathing and animation systems that lets the game run over 1000 units at 60 frames per second, which is, well, absolutely wild. It's really going to put the Swarm on the grill. Now all of this has probably gotten you wondering, well, when can I get to play Zerospace once again? If so, here's the playtest lineup. There's a backer-only playtest this December, with a new 2v2 game mode and cooperative missions. The Steam PvP Fest from February 9th to 16th will also feature a full tournament, and also the Steam Next Fest from February the 23rd to March the 2nd will not only debut the Endari Mercenary faction, but will have new missions and the progression systems. It really feels like 2026 is when Zerospace is starting to hit its stride, setting the stage for full release with even more content to follow. It's an RTS game that I've been monitoring for a while and creating content for. A game that actually looks incredibly promising, both on what they are planning and what they are actually progressing with in each update. Whether you found out about Zerospace just now or have been watching it for a while, let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. All in all, if you've been waiting for a new RTS game to dive into, this suddenly is the time to start paying attention to Zerospace. So the developers behind D.O.R.F Real-Time Strategic Conflict just dropped a new time-lapse video showing off their map editor, and honestly, it's kind of a big deal. Now, if you're not familiar with D.O.R.F, this is a retro-futuristic RTS that mixes the gritty look of Command & Conquer with the detailed mechanics of old-school base builders like Tiberian Sun. And while the recent showcasing of combat has been looking really great, a real eye-catcher here is the map editor. Because if history's taught us anything, it's that RTS games that last are the ones that let the players build. In this new time-lapse, you can see the developers sculpting terrain, placing structures, and layering in detail. They've even teased some upcoming tools like cliff painting and vegetation brushes, which means you'll be able to tweak terrain height, shape natural cliffs, and cover maps in foliage for atmosphere. And well, that's what's exciting. This isn't just make a square map and drop in some bases. This looks like the kind of editor that could actually let people design real scenarios. The kind of custom maps that makes a game thrive for years. I guess this is just a nice opportunity to not only show off what the D.O.R.F map editor can let you do, but also chat with you guys about how important things like map editors and modding tools can be for real-time strategy games. Because we've seen these sorts of stories play out before, right? The map editor is what gave Warcraft 3 its legacy, fans built Defense of the Ancients, and that mod literally spawned the entire MOBA genre. StarCraft, Age of Empires 2, Command & Conquer, they all lived way beyond their release dates because players kept creating custom campaigns, funny challenge maps, competitive maps, you name it. And from the looks of it, the D.O.R.F editor is being built with accessibility in mind. The interface looks clean, the tools react fast, and everything happens visually. That's huge for getting more people involved. The easier that it is to make a cool map, the more that people will try it. And once creators start sharing their work, the community starts growing on its own. Now obviously, I'm not suggesting for a second that this is going to lead to some massive fantastical rejuvenation of real-time strategy games as a mainstream gaming genre, but it is still quite nice to see that when D.O.R.F shows off its editor this early, it's not just a nice dev diary. It's a signal. They're saying, hey, this isn't just our game, maybe it can be yours too. There is a lot more to this time-lapse, by the way, so I'll leave a link to the official D.O.R.F video in this video's description. Next, we are checking out Hyperwar. It's a real-time strategy game currently in development by the solo developer Andreas Steinhorst. And it takes the core of what makes a great RTS, base building, resource gathering, tech trees, and massive battles, and well, it gives it a fresh coat of paint. Now, whilst we don't have a huge amount of information about Hyperwar's setting or kind of game thematics, we can see from the footage that it's a relatively modern warfare take on RTS. Right off the bat, you get a ton of options before you even start a match. You can tweak your own setup, change how tough the AI is, and pretty much fine-tune every part of the game. Once you're ready, you drop into a randomly generated map with a bunch of starting spots to choose from. Pretty standard stuff. You choose where your HQ spawns and get a small stash of metal, ammo, and fuel to get you started. At first, the whole picture will look kind of scrambled, and that's because you don't yet have a radar. Radar runs on energy, and so energy fabricators are important to build. The game, like many other RTS games, features resource collectors. They are made from the vehicle factory and drive out to become metal extractors, which sounds pretty similar to RTS games like Beyond All Reason. Now, we've talked about the radar a little earlier, but without it, you basically have this tiny view around your HQ. Move your camera too far away, and boom, you'll lose connection to the battlefield. It's honestly one of the coolest takes on Fog of War I've seen in an RTS. Once your radar is set up, you can adjust its settings, boost the image quality to clear up the view, or extend the range to see further out. Both use energy, so it's a fun balance between image quality and image range. Unit control in Hyperwar runs surprisingly deep. You've got flexible waypoints, a bunch of formation options, and the best part, your units actually stick to those formations as far as possible while they move or patrol. It feels organized, tactical, and super satisfying to watch in motion. Then there's the research lab, which is basically your tech hub. This is where you unlock everything, new buildings, upgraded units, defenses, and advanced tech. Everything shown on a single screen, so it's easy to see what's available and what needs unlocking. Red or yellow icons means that you're missing prerequisites. Simple, clear, and pretty user-friendly. On top of that, Hyperwar adds tons of quality of life features. You can save camera angles, toggle building shields, hide or show structure names, and all those little details make managing your base smoother and less of a hassle. Resources do take things a step further too. Ammo and fuel aren't infinite. You have to produce them yourself. Once you build a resource center, it automatically converts metal into both ammo and fuel, which you can adjust in its conversions. Metal mining works in layers, and this part's really cool. Your first extractors automatically dismantle themselves once a deposit is drained, but after researching level 2 collectors, you can send them back onto the map to those same deposits to dig deeper for even more metal. It's a smart little progression system that keeps your economy evolving through the match. It's something that you also mustn't forget about, otherwise you'll find yourself without the metal you need to win the war. And then of course there's combat. Chaotic, explosive, and well, just plain awesome. Battles look weighty and cinematic, but if you are not prepared, or you skip on things like walls, turrets, or military units, you'll get steamrolled. From what I have seen, you'll feel like a commander where if you lose certain buildings or structures, you'll really feel the pinch. One of the unique things about Hyperwar is the importance of the radar. Without it, your visibility is really poor, and so lose it, you'll be in trouble. It makes a lot of sense after all. Without communications, how do you expect to control your units on the battlefield? So of course, despite how good it looks, Hyperwar is still very early on in its development, and I'm pretty excited to follow along. If you'd like to follow along too, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, and more importantly, that you've hit the notification bell so that you do get a bit of a ding-dong when we do upload further updates. Next, we are diving into something absolutely massive. A sci-fi survival strategy game that's all about saving humanity from the brink of extinction. It's called Fragile Existence, and it's shaping up to be one of the most ambitious strategy games out there, mixing RTS and 4X grand strategy elements all in one game. How they do that will be made a lot clearer a little bit later in this segment. It's been in development for several years, and with a listed planned release year of 2025, well, there just aren't that many more months of 2025 left. So if you've ever dreamt of leading the last remnants of humanity through the stars, managing fleets, colonizing planets, and surviving against overwhelming odds, this is one that you'll want to keep your eye on. The story starts in the aftermath of a devastating attack on Earth. An unknown enemy fleet wipes out the near-Earth territories, leaving only a handful of ships carrying what's left of our species. As fleet commander, you are in charge of securing humanity's survival, finding resources, rebuilding civilization, and pushing back against this mysterious threat known as the Collapse. Your journey takes you across the stars, using these things called breach gates. They are basically humanity's safe lanes through space, and every gate takes you to a new solar system filled with opportunities and danger. What's really cool is that no two playthroughs are the same. The path you take, the planets you explore, and the decisions you make will all shape your version of the story. Managing your fleet is where things get deep. You can keep everyone together for strength in numbers, or split into smaller autonomous groups to cover more ground. Smaller fleets are easier to lose, but sometimes their sacrifice keeps the rest of humanity alive. It's a constant trade-off between safety and survival. Resources are your lifeblood here. Every planet you find can be scanned for minerals, fuel, and other essentials. But landing isn't always safe. Sometimes you find survivors or friendly factions, other times you'll stumble into hostile forces or the ruins of failed colonies. And when you do land, the perspective shifts entirely. Ground expeditions play out like a traditional RTS, with base building, unit management, and local combat. You'll have to pacify planets, set up temporary settlements, and mine or refine whatever you can get your hands on. But it's not just about grabbing stuff, it's about keeping it moving. Resources are physicalized, meaning they actually need to be transported between ships and planets. If your fleet runs out of fuel or ammo, you're gonna be in trouble. And if your people don't get food, well, you can guess how that ends. And speaking of people, your crew are your most valuable resource. You can't fly ships without pilots, you can't do research without scientists, and you definitely can't heal anyone without medics. Drones and machines are helpful, but it's the human element that keeps everything running. Of course, you're not just running from danger, sometimes you've gotta fight it. Combat in Fragile Existence happens both in orbit and on the ground. Space battles are tactical and cinematic, with fleets maneuvering around planets, deploying fighter craft, capital ships, and defense stations. On the surface, it's more of a classic RTS setup: infantry, vehicles, base defenses, and resource control. When all else fails, you can even order a tactical retreat. Pull your people out, grab whatever supplies you can, and jump to the next system. Sometimes, running is surviving. You'll also dive into research and development, assigning scientists to blueprints and materials you recover along the way. Developing new weapons, defenses, and technologies is essential if you want to stay one step ahead of the enemy. And every ship, unit, and vehicle is fully modular, meaning you can customize loadouts, manage power, and optimize designs for specific missions. Oh, and for the creative types, Fragile Existence includes a planet, system, and scenario editor. You can craft your own planets with hand-placed resources, design custom solar systems, and even build entire story-driven campaigns using a simple node-based editor. That means community-made content, endless replayability, and some really cool possibilities for modders and storytellers. So yes, Fragile Existence isn't just another RTS, it's a blend of survival management, grand strategy, and narrative exploration that aims to make every choice feel meaningful. It's ambitious, and it's all about humanity's fight to keep the light burning in the endless dark. If you're into games like Homeworld, Stellaris, or Sins of a Solar Empire, but just want something that ties it all together with survival and story-driven tension, this is definitely one to watch. So it has been an absolute pleasure to bring you today's video, where we have managed to catch the latest game announcements and updates specifically for real-time strategy. If you did like today's video, make sure that you give it a thumbs up, but more importantly, I really want to know from you guys which RTS game that's currently in development are you most looking forward to playing. Let me know in the comment section below. I suspect that many of you will be saying it's Dawn of War 4. We did go over Dawn of War 4 recently on the channel, and whilst we haven't featured it in today's video, it's definitely one of my most anticipated games. There has actually been a recent update for Dawn of War 4, by the way, and I go through it in a lot more detail in another video on my Dawn of War dedicated channel. If Dawn of War 4 is something that interests you, you'll want to check it out by clicking on the end card on your screen right now. As always, I appreciate the support you guys give. Take care, and see you next time.